Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. I'm Kelly Wells. I'm your host. I'm doing this one in a different position. I'm standing. I have a broken tailbone. You who listen all the time, you know this. Um, and my drive home, thanks to one of the biggest blizzards the Twin Cities has had in a long time, was 2 hours and 15 minutes. It used to be about 20, 25 minutes. It was over 2 hours, and my broken tailbone can take no more. So I'm standing up, and I'm sorry for the extra light that you're catching as a result. Today at the store, I work at a collectible shop. I talk about this somewhat often. Um, one of our fans came in, somebody who listens to the show, listens to all the post show podcasts with Wade, listens to NXT, listens to this every single week. Um, Even if he doesn't catch NXT, he dropped in and and his name's JJ. We talked for a bit. He actually had a half full set of the 1980, might be 90 cards that Classic put out of WWF, and was showing me his Coco Beware cards and Mr. Perfect, and like it was that 5 minutes when the Widowmaker Barry Windham was in the company, and it was really cool to talk to JJ. I talked to him for about 10 minutes. Would have talked to him for an hour if only I was not at work and trying to get stuff done. And then uh, thankfully he came in early because we closed really early because of the snowstorm. So JJ, super cool to see you, and look forward to seeing you again. So thanks for dropping in.
Was it one of those things where he like walked in, was like, "Hey, I know you"?
He walked in. I came out of the bathroom, and my coworker Dave was like, "That's Kelly," and he's like, "Kelly, my name's JJ, and I know you from the Torch. From the Torch, I listen to you all the time." And I
Hell
listen
yeah!
to show all the time, and he knew my voice. And the two other times that happened, this has happened 3 times. As soon as they said, "Are you Kelly from the Torch?" I said, "Well, aloha." And I didn't think to do that, JJ, this time, but I will next time. So yes, psyched that that's happened a few times, plus one time in Dallas. But but yeah, cool of you to drop in. So thanks, guys, in the chat. Goodfella said, "Damn, sorry about your pain, but glad you got home safe." Yeah, it's been a lot. So if you guys who
Hey
actually
Brian,
watch this live, if you see me like shifting around and moving my legs all the time, which I do every single week, it is because of that. It's because I'm trying to find a comfortable way to sit that does not exist, because a broken ass is the gift that keeps on giving. So we're talking NXT for December the 9th, 2025. Your main event, Obafemi versus Javon Evans. We're just going to give it to you here. A couple of days after I couldn't even talk about the Iron Survivor Challenge, which, by the way, I really loved. So super, super fun there. The guys really paced themselves in the first half because they really picked it up in the second half. Javon, once again, a bridesmaid, and they're just really, really giving this guy heat. Just making sure that when he finally does it, it's going to be a big deal because he is going to do it. Somebody said, yeah, they're waiting until Stand and Deliver. I felt they kind of gave away the ending of this one by A, having it on free TV, B, not starting the match until 13 minutes to the hour, um, and C, having Vic say, whoever wins this match will be facing Cody Rhodes. And I'm like, well, they're not going to change course and have Javon Evans versus Cody Rhodes after they promoted the hell out of it on the main roster. So that was a giveaway if you weren't already thinking this was going to happen. At any rate, Obafemi wins with the fall from grace because Ricky Saints, the dastard, he showed up, and he's a bad guy. He was wearing black and everything, so it's true. Um, he cost Javon Evans the match. So I would think that this was going to be a Femi Evans Saints triple threat situation, but they already had the scene about finding a new number one contender for New Year's Evil. So I think this is going to be Javon Evans versus Ricky Saints. I think Evans will beat Saints. Femi will beat whoever, and then Evans will beat Femi at New Year's Evil. That's what I think is going to happen. But main event, Obafemi over Javon Evans in 13:44 with the fall from grace. Nate, talk to me because I'm about to cough a lot, apparently.
Well, you go right ahead. I'll take it. I oh God, I really like this match, and I hear you because like coming into the match, like you said, they've already hyped the hell out of Oba and Cody. I didn't really think that they were going to change course there, but man, oh, I wanted to see Javon win this so bad. I'm not complaining because really like Obafemi and he's on an amazing trajectory nonetheless. But yeah, I was so behind Javon here, and I think Goodfellas says in the chat they had me for a second, thought Javon was going to do it. So did I. Like towards the very end there, they got me. Matter of fact, they got me to the point where I screamed some expletives at my computer where I was watching when Ricky pulled Javon out of the ring because I thought that was it. But it does make sense. Oba just won the title back. I was thinking if maybe he lost it tonight, then maybe he might beat Cody, and then it was a call up for him. That was kind of something that was going through my head. But I think kind of the idea of champion versus champion, and one of the taglines that I've seen in the advertisements for Saturday Night's Main Event is who is the better champion. So, or who the more dominant champion, I think is what I saw. So if they're already hyping that, it kind of doesn't make sense to change course. But man, these two have some amazing chemistry together. I love the fact. Okay, actually, let me backtrack. I love it, and I'm also a little bit of a pet peeve at the same time. I love the fact that Javon got so much offense in here, but I hate the fact that Javon got so much offense in here because we've had so many other people try to dethrone Obafemi and take Obafemi down that have been physically larger than Javon Evans. And they were never really able to do it, with the exception, obviously, of Ricky Saints there. Javon has never been able to beat Oba. It seemed like he might, this was his best shot, like was tonight, the best, his best attempt, I guess. Great match. In terms of New Year's Evil, I'm thinking it could go a couple ways, like what you outlined, where it is going to be Oba versus the potentially the winner of next week's Fatal 4-Way, and then Ricky and Javon are doing something in there. There's also Tony D'Angelo, who had he attacked Ricky tonight, he attacked Javon the other day, so there's that caveat that can kind of be thrown in there. I'm almost wondering if this winds up turning into a Fatal 4-Way at New Year's Evil between Obafemi, Javon Evans, Ricky Saints, and the winner of that Fatal 4-Way next week. And then maybe Tony D'Angelo either weasels his way in, they make it a 5-way, because it's been a while since they've done a multi-man match for the title. Or maybe Tony's the next challenger for it or something like that. They could go that way. I'm not sure. But regardless, they've got so many different directions that they could go from this one, kind of one title angle here. I'm here for it. I really am. I love it when wrestling isn't super predictable. Sure, the outcome of this match might have been a little bit predictable, but now the direction that they take this, like I said, they could go one of many different ways. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
sorry, I was wrong. Tony
attacked
Ethan, not Ricky. I said Ricky. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
I was thinking Ethan even when you said it, so it didn't even occur to me. But
yeah.
Yeah, he's attacking faces, he's attacking heels. Who knows what's going on? I doubt they do. They've never known what they were doing with him. So whatever. Yeah, we had Pile Driver Pete asked, who goes up first? Javon, Oba, Trick, Saints? The answer is Trick Williams because he wasn't on this show. And I think that he might be just about done with NXT. But if you used me for your betting purposes, you'd be broke. So don't take that one to the bank necessarily. The next, and then Steve Repsher said the next true PLE, if they follow last year's sequence, would be Vengeance Day in February, right? That
I believe so. Yep.
is right. Pile Drivers Pete said Tony's evil twin is interesting. Well, that would be the first time anything about Tony was interesting. So let's hope so. Trick has been, Steve Repsher says, Trick has been on a milk carton since before deadline.
Since
Trick,
like the summer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Trick is always on a milk carton when he's champion. They know how to make him a babyface challenger. They didn't know how to make him a champion, so they had him have long, short reigns. I don't know. And then Goodfella said Trick being the Man in Black for the Vision would be cool. Yes, it would. And I had not thought about that at all. I don't know why I haven't thought about that. Pile Driver Pete, why is Kelly talking down to me? Literally, he might not have been here at the beginning. I am standing doing this one because I have a broken tailbone, and I have for 7 months, but today it is exceptionally bad. Let's go there. And Ryan Solorio says, I found his Mafia gimmick interesting, especially feuding with Legato, LOL. I'll give that an LOL also because yikes. Mafia gimmick was not interesting. I don't know. I think they did what they could with the Mafia. A babyface mafioso makes no sense at all. But I don't know. I think he was over a barrel there. Now, I've been snarky about Tony and his return here, but my feeling is, and I hate to say it this way, it can't be worse than what they had for him creatively. It can't be. So this super cold, evil Tony might actually be a lot more interesting. And I don't know if he's even going to be evil. Like, it's Tony, and I know what he can do in the ring, so I'm not going to get super excited yet. But I hope something comes together because I'm always cheering for these guys, even if what I've seen in the past is not great. And I really liked him in a tag team context when he was like the Jim Neidhart to somebody else's Bret Hart. So cheering for the guy, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was our main event.
And before we go on to the next segment, let's bring on Brian.
Let's indeed. Okay, so
if I can unmute myself, how's everybody doing this evening?
Doing great, man. How are you? How about yourself?
Oh, fine, thank you. And of course, I tried to change my background, but it didn't take. So first of all, Nate and Kelly, it's great to talk to both of you. Great to talk to everybody out there. Hopefully, everybody's having a really great night. I'm going to brag for 1 second. Is that right now 63 degrees in Phoenix? It's going to be like 79 this week. So, but I'm a cold guy, so I had my heat on like this morning. So when it was like 49 or 50 degrees in the morning, I had my heat on. So
it's 26 here, and I'm sure it's colder where Kelly is.
It's actually 26 here now too. But yesterday it was 4. So
yeah,
there you go. Just 4. No other numbers to report. Just 4. 1 digit.
You know, and then I'll complain. I will never complain. But when like it's 115, 116 degrees here in the summer, you know, you might hear me mention it. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I was there for one of the summers that was like that. I do not miss that.
You and I used to run the streets together, Kelly. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By the way, I love the lush beard too, Nate. I'll just let you say that too. By the way,
thank you.
Hey, I'm not gonna take too much of your time, so I know you want to talk about NXT, and of course, living in Phoenix, it just started on the hour, so I haven't watched it. I've been reading your report though, Kelly, and the reason why I called in to say was that congratulations, because on the 13th of December will be the first day that will, or it would have been 8 years back. That was the first time you had the Wednesday NXT live cast. It was Kelly wasn't there. He no-showed that one, but it was Harley Vasquez and Tom Stout and Justin James. And then, of course, you had the rotation going on. So I want to say congratulations to the two of yourselves for 8 years of doing recaps here on the Torch.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Actually,
man. I was there. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say it's funny because right before we went on, I was like, I can't believe I've been doing this show for 6 years. Because I came in 2 years into it. Yeah.
I was there. I was on episode 2 through something like 55 before I missed another one. And the idea was that it was going to be the four of us, me, Justin, Harley, and Tom. And somebody would be off every week. And I had to be off the first week because it came together late. And I had not told my job yet that this was going to be something that I was doing on Tuesday nights. So
Wednesday
somebody
nights.
else hosted Wednesday nights. You're right. So somebody else hosted the first one and I hosted the second one. And Wade was like, the idea was everybody was going to try to host. And after the second week said, how about Kelly just is the host? And so I was the host after that. And I didn't sub out for quite a while. One of the reasons I'm so glad Nate ended up in the fold is because Tom loves to do the show, but he does not like to host. And so that was the thing that he wasn't going to do. And you are a ham. Tom can ham if he wants to. I'm 75% ham, but yeah, just having somebody else who could direct traffic was very nice. I've had a lot of eras in this show that I really liked, but doing this show with Nate has become really, really a well-oiled machine. I love doing this show with Nate. So thanks, Brian.
No, thanks to both of you. And Nate, yeah, you do a great job hosting as well. It was Harley that did was the host on the first one, Kelly. I went back and listened to it, and I'm gonna of course hype NXT 8 years back that you and Tom do every Saturday. So as I look at the show, I watched the show now, and then I went back and listened to the audio. So it's actually kind of fun to watch it and then listen to the four of yourselves talk about it. So that was pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, that's fun. I actually couldn't remember who did the first one. Harley was so fun to have on the podcast. He likes to take down stats and things like that. He is a real wrestling historian. I was that when I was young, and then I wasn't young anymore, and it took so much effort. I still do spreadsheets of New Japan tournaments, but that is about it. That's about it for my stat keeping. But Harley is still great at that, and I loved him for that. And I still like the guy. I still talk to him every now and then.
I'm sure he's listening right now or something like that. Again, I'm gonna let you get back to the regular show. One thing really quick for 8 years back that you and Tom do on Saturdays. Well, the 8 years back from NXT 8 years back, I should say. The champions right now in NXT 8 years back, none of them are in WWE. So it's Andrade Almos, it's Ember Moon, and the tag team champions are Sanity. So you say 8 years, and that's one of the things that Kelly and Tom and I do. We talk about who's still in the company 8 years now from then. And this is one of those times where it's just, we don't have a whole lot of longevity in this part of NXT 8 years back. So I want to say again, I appreciate both of you, all the hard work that you do. And again, like Dr. Kevin Catani says, this is like the most active Torch board that's out there. So again, I appreciate all the fans that listen in all the time too. And that's all I have. I hope everybody has really quick, Kelly, when you talk about keeping stats really quick on the they mentioned that Ethan Page was like the 23rd North American champion. And I remember back in the day, I could rattle off every WWF champion, every Intercontinental champion. I could just do it like this. But to hear like that to me sounds incredible. The 23rd North American champion. And by the way, like Kelly, the North American title has not been introduced yet 8 years back. We still haven't got it yet. So
not quite there. Yep.
If that number's correct, and that's what I believe what Vic Joseph said, 23, the 23rd champion. You could say like Johnny Gargano had like 3, you could have counted him 3 times. So, when it comes to things like that. But anyway, hope everybody has a really good night. Thanks a lot again for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to everybody later. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks,
good
Brian.
to talk to you, man. You as well.
Yeah, Brian is a great supporter of the Torch in general, and of this show, and of 8 years back. So super psyched to have him on here. And yeah, the North American Championship has been really protected. There have not been very many short reigns, and a lot of work rate guys, and a lot of really strong workers all around in one way or another have been champion of that, and a lot of long reigns. So to be one of the guys who has one of the 5 longest reigns in North American Championship history is pretty impressive. But yeah, I certainly remember a time when I was young where I remembered the first 100 Intercontinental Champions in order. Like I could do it with no problem. Now I could do it now with some problem, but I would need an hour. But yes, it would take me some time. But yeah, I love stuff like that. I used to know all the Major League Baseball World Series winners, and now I'm a little iffy. I'm getting old, is what I'm getting at, Nate. So
it happens to the best of us.
You know, it happens to the best and the worst. It happens to all. So
that's true.
You know, that was indeed that. So okay, getting to some matches.
Steve says that's more impressive than rattling off pi to 100 places.
You know, to me, it doesn't seem like that, but somebody who knows pi to 100 places would probably say that. Where I would say their thing is impressive because and then eventually we'd be like, oh, we're both total nerds, and then we'd hug and it'd be great. Exactly. Okay, so your opener, Jordynne Grace versus Kalani Jordan. It's too bad these two have such great chemistry because I keep having to figure out which one is Jordan and which one is Jordan, because they're constantly in the same matches, be they tag, singles, or otherwise. 11:25 this one went with a 450 splash. Kalani foregoing the split-legged moonsault and instead winning with a 450 splash. Still a cool move, still a high-flying move, still a babyface move. But what are you going to do? She wins with a 450 splash on Jordynne Grace. And my thought was Jordynne Grace is too many losses in. She has to show some frustration over this. And then she did. She had a scene where she was really frustrated in the back with a bunch of people who could not talk because they are evolved talents and they're not allowed to talk. I did take note of the order in which they left, and Callie Armstrong was the last one that was there in the scene. And I thought maybe Callie Armstrong's going to be on the show, and I got excited because she's great. But she was not introduced to the show yet, Callie, who was the first Evolve Women's Champion. But Kalani and Jordynne they do good stuff together. Jordynne got distracted because that's what baby faces do. She got knocked into the barricade and then hit with the 450. So that was our opener. And Grace had a scene with Hale where Hale kind of tried to gas her up a little bit, but then said, I got to go to do this open challenge. And we might as well do that here. The open challenge did not happen because she just tapped out Blake Monroe visually and then made a match for next week. But I saw Blake Monroe and Thea Hale work together 2 weeks ago live, whenever that was, at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. So I know they've been practicing their stuff together. So Grace versus Jordynne, and anything involving Thea Hale and her still being only 22-ness.
So Grace versus Jordynne, yeah, that is confusing. Jordynne Grace versus Kalani Jordan. And I like Brian comes in. What about when Ariana Grace wrestles Jordynne Grace?
That did happen. That did happen. And so I had to type first names instead of last names. And
then let's throw Kalani in there and just confuse everybody in a triple threat. But no, the match itself, like, I thought this was great. I mean, like you said, they've got some amazing chemistry together. I thought Jordynne Grace she looked pretty good in this. Looked pretty dominant. Obviously Kalani did wind up squeaking out the win at the end. I have been very vocal about wanting to see Jordan Grace get some more wins, and I've both of us have. I think David and I talked about that on the VIP after show after Deadline. Jordan Grace, she's an amazing talent, and she is built as the juggernaut, and she comes in with all these accolades from from TNA and whatnot. Um, and she just keeps losing. So I'm really glad that they're finally acknowledging that, and she's not just losing because that's what they need her to do. And they're now turning this into a story. And I hope this means that she's now going to be on a bit of an upward trajectory. I could see her maybe losing a couple more to build into to the story a little bit more. But I would love to see more of her and Thea Hale, and like Thea trying to build her up a little bit. I love the fact that Thea called herself a grizzled vet at 4 years, being in the company for 4 years, which is insane because it does not seem like it was 4 years ago that she joined NXT, but apparently so.
I feel like, okay, so it doesn't feel like we've known her for 4 years, but it does seem like 4 years since we've seen Bodie Hayward. So I guess we must have known her for 4 years.
Yeah, well, she came in right out of high school. So as she was 18, she said tonight she's 22. So if my math is right, and God, actually, I don't know if we all know, but I'll tell you, my math is not usually right. But if my math is right, that is 4. So yeah, like I said, I think this is going to be a cool spot for Thea if they continue on with her and Thea, Jordan Grace and Thea, as a little bit of a buddy pairing type of thing. Because man, I mean, there's not many more people on the main roster. There's not many people on the wow, what am I talking about? There are not many people on the NXT roster that can match just that energy of Thea Hale. So I think I don't know, maybe Jordan can kind of play off of that and use some of that energy to build some of that, maybe some of that confidence that the character has lost or something like that. But yeah, thumbs up for me from the match with Jordan and Grace. The open challenge stuff, I really kind of like this. You throw out an open challenge, and then as champion, you're waiting in the ring. And then somebody's music hits, and then one person walks out, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's whoever gets to the sound guy first, and be like, hit my music, that's who gets to come out. But in this case, you had a bunch of women make their way out, and then obviously Thea Hale gets in there, locks in the Kimura, Blake taps, refs didn't see it, so and the bell never actually rang, so like Kelly mentioned, the match never technically happened. I really like this. Thea gets the visual win here. She may not wind up winning the title when she inevitably challenges for it. Or actually, I think they already made that match. So
next week,
when she does challenge for it, she may not necessarily win, but she did get that visual win tonight. And I think that's going to help elevate her in the long term. Blake Monroe, I mean, she's a good competitor. I really like the character that she's kind of been portraying. Granted, we haven't seen much of her in the last handful of weeks. So there is that, but I do like kind of that duality that she had going where she's been, like Little Miss Princess, and then she's got that bit of a darker side to her. I'd like to see that come out a little bit more, maybe in this, either in this feud or in subsequent feuds. But I'm definitely here for it. Thea, and I think Thea deserves a spot like this. Her last big profile thing was with Joe Hendry, which wasn't that long ago. But before that, she hadn't really been doing a lot of much since Chase University. A couple things here and there. But I'm hoping this might mean she gets a little bit more of a spotlight on her, because as far as I'm concerned, she deserves it. I'm going to go let my dog out. So back to you.
Yeah, I think Thea's going to lose this match. But I honestly think that Thea has more upside than Blake. I just do. I think that Blake is a
I'd agree
fairly
with that.
disposable hot blonde. She is those things, and she can do a lot of things that a lot of other people can do, and can she do any of them better? I don't know. And I can't put my finger on why exactly, but I think that she's just going to be. I think she could be more easily lost in the shuffle than somebody like Thea, who will always have a reason for existing, and as an underdog, or as all the things that Thea is. I just think that there's more long-term potential with her, even if they don't decide to push her, which I think they should, because she's great. Ryan Solorio says, remember when Wes Lee had an open challenge for the North American Championship? Then a brawl started at the ramp until someone made it to the ring. It's not a rink. This is not skating. This is not hockey. Yes, I do remember that, and I do think about it all the time. And that is the thing I thought about tonight. And when that happened and we saw that for the first time, I immediately I thought, why doesn't this happen every time? And the reason is because if it happened every time, it would be annoying, and it wouldn't be clever. But this should happen at least some of the time on these open challenges. And if it's not going to happen, you should explain how somebody got to the guy who runs the show first, and that's why it happened. So I'm a fan of a bunch of people doing that and trying to get there first. But in this case, it was all the women who were in the very previous scene, and they were all just like in the back, getting loose, doing arm stretches, stuff like that. And if they all knew that they were going to try to do this same thing, why weren't they fighting already? I don't know. Steve Repshire says NXT Open challenges should start in the parking lot. Yes, we did have one scene in the parking lot. Let's talk about it now. Zarya.
Let's talk about it.
I dropped my notes. Zarya and Sol Ruka hug it out in the parking lot. A parking lot leads not into violence, but into love. Nate, they hugged, and they're friends, and the storyline's over, and nobody's mad at anybody anymore. And great, Sol Ruka and Zarya are not turning. Good for them. Sol Ruka did beat Ren Sinclair tonight, 3 minutes and 29 seconds with the Soul Snatcher. Zarya was watching. Sol Ruka said she wants Zarya there to support her for her main roster match against Bayley. So that is a match we will see on Saturday. And Ren, Sol, Kendall, Zarya, all that stuff. Go ahead.
So Ren and Sol Ruka. I mean, it was a good match for what it was. 3 minutes 29 seconds. One thing that I think is a mortal sin that Sol Ruka kind of was guilty of tonight. At Deadline, they played up her knee so much. She got taken out of the Iron Survivor Challenge and got brought to the back. Then she comes back out. She's got a knee brace on. She's limping. And then tonight, there's no knee brace. She's not limping. She's not selling the knee. Come on. That I don't know. That bothered me probably more than it should have, but it bothered me nonetheless. So I don't know. I really wish. I mean, God, who was it? It was JBL. It was JBL. How long did he wear that thing around his neck and put the hat on top of the cage and things like that? I don't know, just
not as things. Long as D'Lo wore his
chest protector. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Or I think it was Cowboy Bob Orton wore the
yes,
neck
it
brace.
Was.
Yeah,
yes,
for forever. So I mean, make these. I don't know, just storytelling. Please give me some more storytelling. That said, though, it was a good match for what it was. I love Ren Sinclair. I mean, I don't know what her ceiling necessarily is. I feel like she's more of a comedic character than anything. But man, I I love her. Kind of in the same ballpark as Thea Hale, although I do think Thea has a bit more of an upside. Not a knock against Ren whatsoever, because I think she's also, great in her own right. But yeah, it makes sense. Soul got I think it makes sense. Soul got the win here. Zarya watching up in the stands, and then we kind of get to that scene with two of them in the parking lot. Not necessarily what I expected, because we've been talking about who's going to turn on who for so long. I wasn't necessarily expecting the two of them to get back together. Doesn't mean that they're not going. One is not going to turn on the other, but I wasn't necessarily expecting them to get back together before that may happen. I'm almost wondering if, I don't know, because the more I'm thinking about it, maybe this doesn't make sense. But I was going to say, now that Zarya is going to be accompanying Sol Ruca as Saturday night's main event, maybe on the larger stage of Saturday night's main event, that's where Zarya turns. But it may not be quite as impactful because the main roster audience, which I have a feeling is going to be the lion's share of who is going to be in the building for Saturday night's main event, is going to be more of a main roster audience. I don't know if they get the pop for a Zarya turn like they would if it was an NXT audience, be it in the Performance Center or at a PLE, in some arena, some city for an NXT specific PLE. So I don't know, but I do think that this might give Bayley a bit more of a chance of actually winning. So CJ, I don't know if you're out there, but maybe, because I'm thinking maybe we get Zarya turn on her there. So I don't know. I think that's all we were talking about. I don't think there was anything else. So yeah, there we go.
I think Bayley wins that match, and I would not have said that was the match where Zarya or Bayley or Soul turns, but the fact that they had a whole ass scene about it certainly makes it seem possible. But I did not think that they would further an NXT storyline on the main roster, unless they were calling up both, in which case you could bring them up and have a built-in storyline for them.
Yeah.
So that would be one way to do it. That would be a way to do it. So someone here brought up, Steve Repsher brought up Iron Mike Sharp as somebody else who wore something that, are you old enough to remember Iron Mike Sharp, Nate?
Before my time. I know who he is, but he was active before my time as a wrestling fan.
Okay, I definitely saw 100 or so losses by Iron Mike Sharp with let me count the wins, 0 wins for Iron Mike Sharp that I saw. It's possible he won on house shows, but yeah, Iron Mike Sharp just a guy they had lose for a long time. I remember the day he died, and he was not a big enough deal for that to make TV. So it was on, I think probably Wade posted it, because I've always been a Torch guy even before I was on the Torch. And I texted my friend Bobby and I was like, I don't know where else to put this. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember him, but Iron Mike Sharp died and I'm sad. And he was like, you were right to come to me. And I am also sad. So yeah, thank you, Iron Mike Sharp, for your service. Okay. So
and thank you to Steve for correcting me. It was Bob Orton's forearm cast, not a neck brace.
Okay, he wasn't a neck brace guy. Okay, yeah.
There's somebody I'm thinking about that was wearing a neck brace for a long time, but yeah, Bob Orton was definitely the cast. Yeah.
Neck brace, was JBL the neck brace?
It might have been. I don't remember.
The mind it do go. Okay, Ethan Page. He did a thing. He had the crossover segment and talked about how great he is. Ethan Page goes out there and says nothing, and it's still good. So very fun there. And he talked about being double champion, and he's great, and he's an all-timer and everything like that. And then he was attacked by Tony D'Angelo. And we saw the same video of Tony D'Angelo, and what I thought was absolutely by far the best part of this segment, and maybe this show, even though I liked this show a lot, is that then the spotlight came up on on Ethan, with Tony behind him, and Ethan knew Tony was behind him, so he just shook his head and goes, "Damn it." Because he knew he was about to be attacked from behind, and Tony D was behind him. So, it's as close to interesting as Tony can get. I guess he's going to face Ethan Page, and Tony D's first issue was it Javon?
Yeah.
Or was it Ricky? It was Javon.
He attacked Javon at Deadline, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're going tweener with him or something.
But I think it was Ricky. Oh no, it was Ethan that took the title off D'Angelo. I think I remember looking this up the other day.
Color me doubtful that
that
I
thought it was.
Will be huge.
Do you remember Sean Spears having a friggin' North American title reign?
Yes.
Because I didn't.
Very brief, right?
Not me nor David did. We because we both thought that it was Ethan Page that won the title off of Ricky Saints rather, that won the title off of Tony D'Angelo. And then we looked it up and it was like, I do not remember Sean Spears holding a title for 27 days.
Yeah, he won it basically to legitimize the faction, and then he lost it really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do kind of remember that. But yeah, Ethan Page's segment with Tony D'Angelo, and I guess that doesn't really play into any other segments on this one. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Tony D'Angelo, I kind of like this. Like I liked the mafia gimmick of Tony D'Angelo. Sure, it was a little bit boring and blasé at times, but I've always been drawn, like, Godfather, Goodfellas, like those type of movies have always been, some of my favorites. My friends and I growing up, and actually we're still in the middle of filming it. Over the last 30 years, we've been filming a movie called The Mob Boss. And every few years we film a few more scenes to show us aging. And I think we're going to finally finish it when we're like 60. And it's going to be sweet. But anyway, so yeah, I've always been into those type of characters anyway. So I did like the mafioso gimmick and all that, but man, this is completely new territory for Tony D. Bit of a new look, with the beard. I mean, he's always had a beard, but I mean, it's a much more full beard, and that jacket and whatnot. I like it. Obviously I think, like you said, it's going to be, him and Ricky, him and Ethan rather. I don't know why I keep confusing Ethan and Ricky tonight. Him and Ethan, going for the North American title. Although he, like I said, he attacked Javon at Deadline, and then after he attacked Javon, he was staring down Oba. So I'm not sure what Tony's intentions are right now, unless it's doing something like I thought Dark State was going to do and come in and cause anarchy and just attack whoever. So I don't know, but I am definitely a fan of that. I absolutely love Ethan Page. After that segment, where he gets attacked, he goes in the back. I forget who Ava was talking to because Ethan was the star of that segment. And Ethan just walks in. What are you gonna do about it? And, what are you gonna do about Tony D? And Ava's just like, I don't know. I haven't seen him in months. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what you want to hear out of the GM.
I remember who she was talking to because it was a great scene. It was the 4 guys in the Iron Survivor Challenge who didn't win.
Okay.
And Ethan Page, Miles Bourne, it's funniest for him to do it because he's the one who's deaf, holding up the sign that says "Stop talking." And
that's right.
And Dion Lennox was having a hard time not laughing.
Yeah. But I mean, Ricky, or not Ricky. Jeez, I keep doing that. Ethan, like, she's like, a lizard stole my car and nothing happened. And I just love the fact that he keeps going back to that. Like, Oh, hilarious. I want to see Ethan Page like as champion for as long as possible. I mean, he's an inevitable call up. I mean, he is main roster ready. I think he was main roster ready when he joined NXT, quite frankly. They just wanted to put him in the system to kind of, learn the WWE ways. But man, he's been in NXT for over a year now. I think this is he is a prime candidate to go up. And I think he's going to be a big star once he does get up to the main roster. He's so easy to hate, but in the best way possible. Like all for it. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
And he's one of wrestling's nice guys. I know I've talked
Yeah.
about that before, but I have met Ethan Page. He's a super nice guy. I talked to him online. He was nice again, and yeah, he deserves what's happening to him. My cat is making it harder to look in my notes. Okay, so there was one other match on this show, and I will go to that. Shiloh Hill versus Lexis King. So this was a Shiloh Hill. It was just literally all they said was Shiloh Hill's debut. They didn't even mention it was against Lexis King. So that's where Lexis King is right now. He's the unannounced. He's in the Iron Mike Sharp spot of.
He is hanging out in TNA.
Yeah. And then weirdly, when Lexis came out and was introduced, and literally we didn't even see his entrance, he was just in the ring already. Booker T goes, "Call him up to the main roster, man." And I was just like, what a weird thing to say about somebody who's always losing and isn't featured recently. But that was. And Booker T was all about him. Booker T was all about Lexis King. And I think Lexis King definitely 100% could be valuable on the main roster today and could be the kind of call up that Elias was, where Elias won nothing in NXT. And then they called him up and people just ate him up as a gatekeeper heel. But anyway, Shiloh Hill, Nate, I'm in love with him. That's the simple way to say it. I'm in love with Shiloh Hill. He's crazy. He's got the tooth thing. He's really smart. He's really weird. And his special move is a diamond cutter that he calls Whisper to the Beast. 2 minutes and 56 seconds. He beats Lexis King. I like everything about him. I cannot be impartial because he's my guy, and I'm going to Dakota Kai this guy into oblivion. So,
all right.
Well, that's a high bar.
Or but, you mean Charlie?
But I do apparently. But I like Shiloh Hill a lot, and the crowd is clearly responding to him as well because they were chanting his name. So they're responding to these. He's probably worked some dark matches there as well, but I think they're also responding to the vignettes. So Shiloh Hill over Lexis King in just under 3 minutes.
I cannot say enough about Shiloh Hill. I really can't. So, from the vignettes, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I know more about Shiloh Hill from that very first vignette than I do about Dark State. And that's saying something because they've tried so much with Dark State, even going back to those dossiers from the D'Angelo family. Talking about the D'Angelo family. I feel like he's the type of person like I'd want to hang out with, even though he maybe toned down a little bit, quite as crazy or whatever. But I mean, a lot of the same interests: the hacker thing, technology, obviously wrestling. But yeah, it's like weird. Those are my people. And Shiloh Hill is weird. The presentation is great. I love the whole tooth thing. And where was it? Ryan in the chat. Undertaker calls Shiloh Hill toothless aggression. I did not know that. and I had to like stifle laughter when I first read that
The
comment.
the crowd chanted that tonight. Toothless
That's
aggression.
okay. I couldn't tell what they were chanting. So, all right, that's good to know. Yeah, the fact that he does the thing with the tooth, like he takes it out and then he like hulks up afterwards. I think that's, I don't know. I think that's brilliant. Like it's almost like with the tooth, he's more calm and relaxed because he looks more normal with all of his teeth, and then he takes that out and uh, he kind of becomes more of a killer. I yeah, I don't have much more to say about Shiloh Hill other than like I cannot wait to see what the trajectory for this guy is. There's absolutely a new star has been born. Piledriver Pete just said that in the chat. Um, I think this guy has an absolutely amazing upside. And I think this, as from what we've seen right now, I think the sky's the limit for him, especially if he's got people, like The Undertaker. I mean, obviously because of LFG, but I mean, even so, just a rub from The Undertaker, even today, still means quite a bit. So I'm here for it. Alexis King, I did notice, excuse me, my frog in my throat. I did notice he looked a little less annoying tonight. He's not dyeing his beard jet black. It's the same color as his hair. And I think this is the first time I think he's wrestled in trunks. I think he's been in long tights before that. I could be wrong. But I felt like this was a bit of a new look for him. Don't know what that means necessarily, but I'm pointing it out. And I do agree with you. I think Lexus King could be useful on the main roster. He has that unique look. I think he has a great personality, and a lot of charisma. His in-ring work is okay. He's certainly a solid worker. And I don't think he's ever going to be, main event level, main event caliber talent, but he might also prove me wrong, and as I always say, I love it when they prove me wrong. There's definitely, I think he could be a solid heel on the main roster. It's almost a shame, I think, that they're kind of not utilizing him to that extent in NXT. They tried, but I feel like it was a lot of start and stop pushes for him, and that kind of took a lot of that momentum away. Maybe a fresh restart like on the main roster, or with a bit of a gimmick change, in NXT. I don't know exactly what that gimmick change would look like, but some sort of freshening up might give him some of that momentum back in NXT. But yeah, I'm right there with you. David, we were talking about it on the VIP after show after Deadline, and David Miller and I. David's a huge fan of Shiloh Hill. Jobin's a massive fan of Shiloh Hill. I cannot, like I said, I cannot wait to see what this guy does in wrestling.
CJ LaChapelle in the chat says, cute cat, because if you were not here live, I am holding my very needy cat, Admiral Soup Shoes, or just Soupy as we call her. She's a butthole. She's a real butthole, but I love her more than basically anything in the world. So thank you, CJ. She is real cute. And she gets
CJ,
away with a lot.
We shouted you out earlier in the night too. I don't think you were here, but we were talking a little bit about Bailey and Soul. So just throwing it out there. Go back in the archives and listen, because we were talking about it.
We had some scenes, Hank and Tank in Noah. The way the wrestling is right now is very weird, because NXT is working with Noah. Noah's working with New Japan. New Japan's working with AEW, but AEW is certainly not working with NXT. It's a very weird chain of things that there are exchanges. where you can see Kaito Kiyomiya both on NXT and on New Japan. It's just very strange stuff. But yeah, Hank and Tank, and Tank knows some functional Japanese, which is cool. He sounds like he can speak it like I do, which is like, boy, I wish I'd started when I was much younger.
When he said Konich, I lost it.
That was
Absolutely
pretty great.
lost it.
So I don't know if they say that sometimes when it's just like for shorthand, or if they don't. But I thought that was pretty great when he said that to OTM. Let's see. Ava talked to Blake next week versus Thea. Stax defeated Macklin. Good for him. Won a championship. Fatal Influence had a scene with Kendall and Ren. Yeah, I think we're kind of just doing cleanup here. Oh, and then the Tatum Paxley cut a backstage segment on Izzy Dame because she said she's going to bring down the whole calling, which I don't know, couldn't be that hard. So yeah,
they could use a mercy killing.
Ryan Solorio says hearing Tank speak Japanese during the video package was awesome. Even more awesome when you can speak just enough Japanese that I can get everything that Tank is saying. If Tank was more, say, Japanese, I'd have a real tough time. But Tank is not. So I knew what he was saying. That was fun stuff. I was a big fan of that scene, and he spoke it with confidence. I feel like he's young, so he can learn it so much faster than I do. If I had done it when I was 20. I'd be great at it now, but I started when I was 45, so I'll probably never be great at it. So yeah, on stuff we haven't talked about, and if you want me to remind you, just say so.
Oh yeah, probably. So I mean, I probably will need you to remind me of some of these. But yeah, Stax winning the international championship, good for him. Yeah, I didn't see the match, but I do want to go back and I would like to go back and watch it. I would really like to see more TNA talent, or at least a TNA talent win an NXT title. Maybe some TNA talent that aren't bona fide WWE legends like the Hardy Boys were. So there is that, but I think it does help to build some heat. I mean, at least from the shots in the crowd anyway that they showed, the crowd was none too happy that Stax won. Hank and Tank, man, that stuff in Noah, like I didn't see it. I don't know if I've ever actually really sat down to watch Noah, maybe once. But I mean, the video package they showed was fantastic. And it's funny, as I was talking with Jobin on Discord, just chatting back and forth, typing back and forth, as we're both watching it. And I'm like, the next time we see Hank and Tank on TV, they better show up in kimonos. And then 10 seconds later, they cut to him in kimonos. I'm just like, yes. I think it's great. Lean into it. It's super entertaining. What were some of the other things we were talking about?
Fatal Influence had their scene with Kendall and Ren, and Fatal Influence got the better of it. You can go on there if you got it.
So actually, yeah. So I actually very much liked this segment with Fatal Influence, Ren, and Kendall Gray. I think over the past handful of years, I don't want to say been hard on JC Jane, but she's never been one that I've kind of gotten behind. For some reason tonight, I think she finally won me over. Like she's been getting better on the mic and better on the mic and better on the mic for months, a very long time now. But for something about the way that she cut this promo tonight, it sounded real. It didn't sound like a scripted type of a promo. She spoke with conviction, and it did. It sounded like she was speaking, from the heart rather than, hitting some bullet points or reciting some lines. And then Kendall did the exact same thing. For somebody that's, still kind of getting their feet wet and all of that, I think Kendall is absolutely incredible on the mic, especially compared to a lot of the other people in the developmental system. This was an entertaining segment, and it was a believable segment. Kendall, I like the fact that Kendall leaned into the fact that she has more to learn. That was one of the things that JC kind of threw it as an insult. And Kendall, she didn't really say like, of course I have, she did say I have more things to learn. But one of the things that I kind of, if you read between the lines at least a little bit, is like, that's how you always get better, is you're always learning. You always have something new to learn. Nobody ever knows everything. You're constantly learning, constantly evolving, not just in wrestling, but I mean, in life. You constantly learn and you're constantly going to grow, constantly going to evolve. And that's kind of what I took away from that, from that particular line, or a few sentences from Kendall Gray. I think they have something with her. I really do. And I mean, Kendall, even before she went to Evolve, and she's showing up on NXT here and there, and mostly Level Up. I mean, we said that we saw something there with Kendall Gray, and we were looking forward to seeing, kind of how she evolved. No pun intended, but there we go. How she evolved into Evolve, the Evolve Women's Champion. But yeah, I mean. One of the things that we were talking about on the VIP after show from Deadline is, she has that rub. John Cena handpicked her. I mean, he handpicked everybody in the Iron Survivor Challenge, but I feel like she and Leon Slater, I think it might do the most for them because, they are, I mean, Leon Slater, he's not even in the company, he's TNA, but he'll be WWE before long, similar to Joe Hendry, I'm sure. But Kendall Gray, she's relatively unknown. I mean, I'm sure that the number of people that watch Evolve is a small fraction of the people that watch NXT, which is a fraction of the people that watch the main roster. So for her to kind of get that rub and to start getting some of that TV time, the rub from John Cena, and get some more TV time, I think WWE knows they have something with Kendall Gray. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her on the main roster as a women's champion, within the next 5 years, maybe sooner than that. That's how much she has impressed me over the last handful of months. All right, what else we got?
Goodfellow says, JC always speaks with conviction. I always enjoyed her mic work. Let me both agree and disagree with you. She did not always speak with conviction. She was one of the worst I have ever seen, ever. I've been watching this for a long time. And I was in the theater department, and I saw freshmen who thought they could do it, who could not. And this is what's so impressive. I think JC Jane's first vignette when she made it to NXT, I still think of that as the worst thing I ever saw on NXT. The very worst. I've seen every segment on NXT ever, and I think the worst segment ever was JC Jane's first talk segment. That's how bad
I remember you
was.
saying that at the time. Yeah.
Yes, and I still think that's true. I don't think anything has supplanted that as the worst thing I've ever seen, even though we had that BFAB match with Elektra Lopez, and then
well, that wasn't on the mic.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I still think that Steve says worse than BFAB versus Elektra. Yeah, I do. I think it was by a comfortable margin worse than that match, that segment. Worse than Eli Cottonwood's promo on mustaches. Okay, I kind of remember that in the vaguest of.
I don't. I have to look that
The
up.
answer is yes. I do think that the worst thing I ever saw was JC Jane's first segment.
Meow.
And my cat is being as loud as I think. And that is why I like what JC's doing so much right now, and why it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around it, where I'm kind of, I need to be constantly reminded of how good she's gotten, because I saw all the stuff that was terrible. Now she could go to the main roster. People talk about how good she is, and I'm like, are you sure? And I think it's because I saw those very modest beginnings. But I know, and I have to just keep reminding myself that that JC's been good for a while now, and she had a match with Tatum that was just two matches with Tatum that were absolute aces, and what she's doing on the mic, and just the way she presents herself like a star, dressing, looking, moving, acting like a star. I don't know what her height is. I still worry about that, but I'm really, really, um, I'm impressed by somebody who NXT is so interesting, because some of them, it happens really quickly, like Alexa Bliss. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all, and sometimes it happens really slowly, but they don't always keep people long enough for that to happen. That's why I do this show, Nate. That is what is so exciting to me about this. Okay, Fatal Influence, Kendall and Ren, even Blake, blah blah blah. Nikita was on the show. She didn't say anything, but
Where
I'll
was she?
resist the urge. She was one of the silent evolve people in the background.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
notice.
When JJ came into the store today, we talked for a bit, and JJ made it clear he listens to the show every single week. He's very, very rare to, he's sent like 2 emails ever, and they were both to Wade's shows, but he always watches every single show. And I said, "Oh, so you've seen me do a few rants?" And he was like, I love it when you rant. I love it when you hate things." So thank you. I'm not sure that people always do. But Steve Ripsher says Nikita silent, and then he put a check mark for good on that. Yeah, I don't know. To this day, I've got no explanation of why you would keep somebody on who keeps proving exactly how good they are at literally every aspect of wrestling. But whatever, they do. And I don't know. Maybe she's nice. I don't know anything about her. But I think that is that, unless, did we get emailed and I haven't picked up
Oh,
my
we do.
phone
We do.
to look at it?
Greetings
Do
and
you have it ready?
salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. I thought tonight was a good show, and I was happy to see them follow through on some of the developments from Deadline. That said, I want to shift my focus to this coming Saturday. A real chance for NXT to show out. In front of a bigger crowd. I'd love to know your thoughts on the 4 matches this weekend. Who goes over? What story will they try to tell in the match? And how will each talent springboard forward thanks to exposure? Thanks as always. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. The office hours are now over. The Professor, Kevin Picatani, PhD.
Okay, we will talk about that. Also, I forgot that CJ asked if we thought that Bayley was going to go over. Yes, I think there are multiple reasons for Bayley to go over. I always assume that NXT WWE matches are going to be won by the WWE talent. I think that Bayley will win it anyway. If she doesn't, I think it will be a heavy storyline, but I think she will win it. Whether that is because of the Solruka Zaria business or not, I think Bayley will go over in that match. But I am just glad that Bayley is in a match that is being promoted, because they haven't done a lot of that. And he says Bayley better not lose to an NXT person. I mean, she won't be an NXT person for long, so I wouldn't get hung up on that too much. But I think the call up for Soul is very imminent, but I think for a very large amount of reasons, Bailey will probably win that match. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then Steve Repsher says Nikita can give Braun Breaker one of her Ks on the way out. That is so good for so many reasons. It would leave Braun with 3 Ks, and let's just not talk any more about that one.
Yep, we can leave that one alone.
We can leave it alone. Nate, on anything that
on the things. So yeah, so in terms of Bailey, we like I said, we talked about it a little bit ago. I think it was before CJ joined the chat. But I do give Bailey a good chance of winning here. And as I said earlier, I think it may wind up being because of Zarya accompanying Sol Ruca to the match. Whether it's Zarya turning on Sol, or Zarya trying to help Sol and costing her the match, as we've seen happen so many times in the past. But I think there is a good chance that Bailey does win this, and I'm happy about that because it's Bailey. She's, well, we all know she hasn't been super focused on as of late. Then in terms of Kevin's email. Let me run down the card for Saturday night's main event. We've got John Cena versus Gunther, Bailey versus Sol Ruca, Cody versus Oba, and then AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon and Leon. So I'm going to start with Cena and Gunther because that's not NXT, so why not? We'll start there. I think Gunther goes over. I don't think, as much as I would love to see John Cena end his career, with a win, and I think in a way he does deserve to go out with a win. I really don't see John Cena breaking that time-old tradition of going out on your back. I think he wants to take all of that goodwill and everything that he's built up over the last 25 years and pass it on to somebody like Gunther. There's, I know Wade was talking a little bit about it last night on the Raw post show. With Paul Weagle, that Gunther, Gunther is starting to get up there in age. Maybe they should have given that rub to somebody a little bit younger that might be around for a little bit longer. But it is what it is. I do think that Gunther is going to wind up winning over John Cena. I just talked about Bailey and Sol Ruca. Cody versus Oba. I would love to see Oba win. I talked about this on the VIP after show. Granted, on the VIP after show, both David and I thought that this match was for the WWE Championship, and apparently it's not. But I would love to see Oba get the win. I have a feeling Cody's going to win because I don't think they're going to want to have the WWE Champion lose to the NXT Champion. But
oh God, I don't know why they're doing this. Like,
I know.
You gotta protect him. This is your cash cow for the next 10 years. Like, despite what you've said about Braun Breaker and F that dude, because no, but sorry, he's just not that guy. And but you've got to protect Oba. I don't know what they're planning to do with this match.
So what I was going to say,
the fact that it's not for the championship would suggest that it's going to be Cody, but oh God!
So what I was going to say, and Goodfella just brought this up. The chat moved. And what Goodfella just brought up in the chat, Drew might cause a DQ, allowing Oba to pick up the win. So Oba gets the win. Cody's protected. So everybody kind of goes home happy there. I think that's kind of the most likely scenario to kind of get out of this, because like you said, they booked themselves into a corner. You don't want to see the WWE champion lose to a quote lesser champion, a developmental champion, even though they consider it a third brand again. but you also don't want to kill off Obafemi before he even makes it to the main roster. So I think that DQ kind of makes sense. Oba gets the win. He get over the WWE champion. He can now say, I beat the WWE champion, and and Cody and Drew can kind of continue their feud. Um, and then AJ Styles, Dragon Lee versus Javon and Leon. I have zero idea who's going to win that, and quite frankly, I don't care. I just want to watch it. That is going to be a hell of a match. AJ Styles, even though this is presumably his retirement year, his retirement run, if you will, he's going at a level that he could have probably been at about 10 years ago. And then obviously Dragon Lee, Javon, Leon, we all know how good they are and all of that. So I don't care who wins that match. I just want to watch it.
Yeah, and is that one for the championship? Is that the deal?
The thing I got pulled up right now doesn't mention it. I don't think it is for the title.
Okay, because if it was, I would almost say, oh, call up time. Yeah, if it's not, if none of them are for the championship, I'm just going to take the sitting main roster guys in every match because you win so much just by being in the match.
None of the matches are for the titles.
Okay, so
yeah.
Looking forward to it. May or may not be able to watch it live. That is going to be one of the busiest days of my life for several reasons. So that's that. I think that is our show, unless we have anything else we have to cover. Tatum Paxley, she had dolls. Shiloh Hill, we talked about him. Oba, we talked about him, but I could talk about him more because I love him. And yeah, I think that's that. Is there anything else you had to cover?
There's one other thing that I had to cover. That's an awesome shirt.
Oh my God. Thank you. Save the clock tower. Save the clock tower. Yep. I'm something of a passing fan of Back to the Future, which is to say I'm the biggest fan of the movie ever.
I got a DeLorean on my shirt right here.
Right there. What you do?
Yep. So this is a company shirt for our hackathon. I actually designed this shirt, believe it or not. But one of our hackathons was Hack to the Future, and this past hackathon was portals to past hackathons. So everything you see in this swirl is a past hackathon theme. But there's the DeLorean right there.
And you made that?
Yeah, I designed the shirt. Yeah. Me and one other person, we designed it together.
I wear a cool shirt, and I'm still second place. This freaking guy. I don't know what you're incorrigible, Nate. You're incorrigible. Okay, well, this is Kelly Wells, and I'm just going to say save the clock tower and probably horseshoe, and that is just about it. So. We will see you next week. Psyched to see where things are headed. I really dug this episode, and yes, thank you, Ryan Slorio, for Horseshoe, and a great chat as always. So, cheers, and I will see you in 7.
Horseshoe.